Flashpoint and Eager, they're old school boys, you know? They used to lane together all the time. They were one of the best teams at the time, and so Zapman's break is going to be after he potentially causes issues for Shadowkey today.
I mean, it's one way or the other, and what better way for Zap to go out than trying to take a couple of victories off of his former laning partner? You might as well go for it.
Well, bans coming through, Ganesh and Nemesis, Osiris, Bellona. Raven's available, as is Fafnir right now. Fafnir will be the first pick, Flashpoint.
I really like the safe decision-making by Eager, though, to eliminate Osiris and Bellona. I think that this is an excellent choice because not only are they going to have that Susano pick, which should be a very strong jungle pick for Sam on that role, but on top of that, they're not going to have to worry about as much pressure in the solo lane for Flashpoint, so that will also give Sam a little bit more flexibility in the jungle role and potentially let him open up the map a little bit more.
Rama versus Hou-Yi will do the matchup in the duo lane. Obviously, Eager still need a support to go with that later on. Flashpoint, though, have a couple of options to the name. They're going to go with Thor in the jungle. How are we feeling about Thor up against Susano?
I actually don't mind Thor, although Susano and Thor can kind of go either way. It all depends on who gets the jump on the other first.
Okay. So in the grand scheme of things, it's just whoever gets the combo off.
I would probably favor Susano, but just because I feel as though a setup potential is a little bit easier to execute in comparison to a Thor, where you need to land your hammer and stun combination if you want to get off the effective poke.
Well, the best are going to go for the Toth pick. Ice is Kepri banned out, so support focus from Flashpoint here. No real surprise when you're up against Aurora to make sure he doesn't get some of his comfortable gods, but then again, it is Aurora and he's got a lot of comfortable gods in that support role.
Plus, you never really know what to expect from Aurora. At any point, he could refer back to his Fat Chunks days and try to make something happen. Well, Raven, you know, salty run back.
That could happen too. Terra banned out, and it's going to be Geb. Disappointingly boring.
I like the safety selection. You just want as much setup as possible for your jungler and mid laner. You just want to give Sam as much comfortability as he can possibly attain.
Erlang Shen for Flashpoint there. More than likely, I guess, for the solo lane. Do we expect this? With Thor being locked in, obviously?
I would probably anticipate that to be. I don't really see it being a Thor solo.
Crazy, yeah. And final pick for Flashpoint will be the Raw. Over to Eager for their final pick. They still need a solo laner themselves here for Devios, and Devios is going to pick up the Man Mountain himself.
This was actually an insanely fast picks and ban stage for both of these teams, so you could tell that both sides already had a predetermined way that they wanted to run this.
Well, with the Hercules pick up against now Erlang Shen, how's that matchup in lane? Do you know much about that one, Erlang versus Herc?
Erlang is most likely going to offer the Death's Toll option, which Death's Toll being a very strong starter item will provide him a lot of sustain, but Hercules has the option to cancel out that Fatalis effect on Erlang's 3, so as long as Hercules is careful about that and doesn't get caught out in the creep wave, I think he'll be fine.
Well, funny enough, talking about sustain, you saw Ra getting locked in there. We're not seeing Ra for a little while. He comes and goes in waves, but he does have a lot of sustain, and that's one thing the players in SPL have kind of moved away from sustain a little bit just lately, Taco. Why is it back all of a sudden? Or is this Flashpoint just trying to find their own, their own thing?
I think Flashpoint are just trying to find their own rhythm, and Shenka is a mid laner who's pretty notorious for not necessarily selecting the same god every single game. Sure. He's always trying out something different in the mid lane role that he feels will suit the team better. And speaking of trying out something new, Flashpoint with Walrus over Dante Lafargo.
Yeah, with Dante being replaced there, Dante's a no-go, not Lafargo anymore. And they're going to actually bring in Walrus. We'll see what he can do. Walrus unrostered at the start of this split. A lot of people wondered where he was going to end up. In the end, he ended up on the bench of the SPL, just waiting for a team to look for an opportunity to pick him up, and Dante's was his opportunity onto Flashpoint.
I can't blame Walrus for wanting to just select a SPL team to continue practicing with, because Walrus really just doesn't want to get out of sync with himself as far as solo lane is concerned, because even taking a little bit of a break from the SPL can affect your competitive play style. And so I really like Flashpoint's pickup of Walrus. I think he'll be a strong acquisition to the team, and he's an experienced solo laner, so I'm sure that will also heavily benefit Flashpoint.
So a nice easy jungle trade going on between Flashpoint and Eager right now. You saw that Eager actually started on the right-hand side with Sampasaka joining Devios. They strip away the blue and the speed. Meanwhile, you saw Mirage and Shaker pushing the mid-wave, steal away speed and blue going to Walrus as well. So it's all relatively still even because the middle camps are still alive, and bad news is that Shaker only got 2 of the little elementals there. He didn't go for the big one, a little bit worried about his positioning.
He can't really afford to go for that big elemental because he'll just take too much poke damage, plus the lane in mid, you don't want to let best free push that, because a Thought doesn't have out clear on a Raw. So nice poke coming out from Sheikah.
Funny enough, Best expected Sheikah to go actually out him, so he walks in to the line nuke, takes some extra poke, but Best will be okay for the time being. He can just go back in the jungle with Bumba's mask. He'll sustain back up nicely.
Yeah, no problem whatsoever, but you just got to keep an eye on these mid lane waves, because they're the most important part. And speaking of keeping an eye on things, Sanfrecocker's got to be a little bit careful about the pathing he's choosing to take.
Did have a lot of opportunity to get away there, but he's got to be careful of Mirage having the wall available to him, because it could have caused him a couple of issues. Over to the dual lane for the first time. There you see Geb and Rama just continuing to try and farm up. Both the supports do have Sunder, and you can already see Shadow Q look for a little bit of a cheeky early on gank potential with his. Not sure how that went down, as we weren't watching that side of the map.
It's interesting though, because earlier on it seemed as though Eager was getting the better end of the trade in the dual lane. That's credited to Rom with the Astral Arrows. That lane clear is pretty insane. Even against a Fafnir and Hu Yi, pretty much level 1 lane clear will almost always favor a Rom.
Well, Devios versus Walrus, and Devios now level 5, a little bit further ahead than Walrus now, but once this wave hits the tower, will also hit 5 too, as long as he doesn't get poked out of it by Devios, who's just giving up the goat for the time being. And Mirage is just hovering around at the right sort of time where Devios could be looking for aggression, but he kind of recognizes that could be the go call for Thor as well.
No wards available on the map, but coming around that 3-minute area, teams are pretty much certain that there'll be a gank coming through in one of the lanes. And now it's Mirage who's initiating straight on Devios. Just short, but the hammer stun is good. Double tap on point, just not enough damage.
And the big key there was Devios driving strikes just as the Thor ult came through. I'm not sure if he knew everything about that there, just the timing was perfect. You do get a bit of a very small warning from the Thor ult though, because the ground does change and it shows you, hang on a second, warning, we've got incoming targets coming down here. So he gets away scot-free. Good to see Flashpoint be on the aggressive though, Taco, right? Straight from the outset, see Mirage be the first one to really gank. I
prefer to see Mirage taking the initiative, especially because he's playing this Thor, and Thor's early gank potential is just so strong. And not to say that Susanoo's isn't just as strong, but with Susanoo, you tend to need to drop up an ability or two in order to have that movement into the lane. Or with Thor, you just ult straight up into the sky, and then half the map is yours. Well, this time round, the buffs have spawned for speed, and now the blues are spawning too. Eager will get their own speed buff first of all. The enemy speed of Flashpoint is not available yet, but there's pressure on the right-hand side now onto Walrus, looking for the rollout Cataclysm combo. That worked out nice for a Roar, into a knockup yet again! Beautiful CC chain coming out from Eager, and Sanfrecocker gets his name on the board. And that is such an unfortunate circumstance for Walrus in that solo lane. He should have probably been a little bit more careful about pressing up halfway. He might not have been aware of Sanfrecocker or Aurora hanging around those fire elementals, but after Mirage had ganked and the gank was unsuccessful, I think Walrus should have fallen back towards his tower line, simply because you can kind of always anticipate a counter initiation to come through. Well, funny enough, we've not spoke about Devios' build so far in this game, but you saw that he started off with tier 2 of the Breastplate of Valor build here. Not necessarily going for the Breastplate of Valor, we'll see where he ends up with it. But this was started off by Deathwalker in the solo lane, and now Devios is adopting it. And if Devios adopts something that somebody else has done in the solo lane, you can take a little bit of credit for that. So Deathwalker bringing through some different builds to the solo lane now. And how he explains that, Deathwalker, is that with tier 2 of Breastplate of Valor, you get the benefit of technically having a blue stone pendant with some regeneration. Almost it's a Watcher's Gift mixed with like a Vanguard almost. It's just the mana and the physical protections that you provided early on, and I think that that also helped him out a large deal when Mirage ganked into that solo lane, and he landed a double tap. Normally that's a massive chunk of health gone, especially since Mirage is probably leveling his hammer, but unfortunately for him it just wasn't the damage. Now Walrus trying to find the better trade onto Devios, but they both have heals. So the bad news from Walrus there at the end. Oh, hang on a second. Devios going to drive and strike him. Not a minion aggro, though, for Walrus. So he didn't get punished as hard as he could have done with that driving strike. But what you saw Walrus do there was he used his full combo. All his abilities were down, and then he ulted. So he had no real follow-up to continue the poke pressure that he was looking for. A little awry, I would say. I mean, normally you kind of anticipate that, but he might have just been trying to force out the ultimate from Devios, because if Devios doesn't have that CC immune ultimate, it could also also make things a little bit easier for Mirage to try and punish in that solo lane.
Definitely an obvious question that I can expect here is to see, will Eager look for some anti-heal here up against a Fafnir, a Raw, and Walrus? Do we expect to see some anti-heal on somebody, and if so, who?
I would probably anticipate a Pestilence to be picked up by either Divios or Aurora, not necessarily early on, because I don't think that the raw healing or the sustain from Flashpoint as a whole will really become a threat until second active time period. But speaking of threats, Zapman picking up Sops.
Gets his kill, and now Aurora's going to limp away from Shadow Q there. But got to be careful, Zapman, because he's still hanging around for that purple buff. Well, Shaker didn't spot him on the rotation, though, on the Raw. They're looking for the pick on a Raw, and the tip did not connect with a Raw whatsoever there. The rollout comes through, but now Sam's going to give chase. Pull in Shaker. Zapman around the corner. Best following him too. Shaker's dancing in the heels for the protection as long as he can. Shadow Q can peel for only so long, and he's low on mana too, so Eager might continue the chase.
But 4 versus 2 is never a good circumstance, and Flashpoint, they just don't have any sort of way to try and counteract that gank from Eager. Beautifully executed, by the way.
But at the same time, like, Shaker just didn't realize where Zap was. If they would have spotted Zap, Zap could have been the one in trouble there. They could have collapsed onto him potentially. Or at the same time, Shaker would have lived because he would have walked blindly into the lane.
I think that was just a little bit of tunnel vision, and that can be credited to just rookie experience.
It's one of those things like always check your corners, right? I know this is a MOBA, but technically FPS elements, you like always check your corners when you go around them, make sure no one's sneakily hiding round one. And Zap wasn't really hiding, he was just taking a purple buff.
I'm kind of surprised that he didn't hear him. He might have heard him and just opted to ignore him because he felt as though the ultimate would have secured the kill onto Aurora.
Well, 3 kills away of Eager so far. Gold lead is about 1100, which is kind of what you expect at this stage. But then the experience is the more telling thing. 2,500 experience lead for Eager. They're in a good position.
2,500 experience this early on, it could actually start to become incredibly problematic for Flashpoint, especially when you look at who that experience is falling short on. I mean, you've got Sops, who's starting to fall behind of Zapman, and then Divios is getting the slightly better end over Walrus. And Hercules as a raid boss coming into these team fights, and especially somebody like Divios who just loves chasing after a backline.
And the bad news is Sop's falling behind early, I guess. We're getting Zapman a kill on a Rama up against a Hou-Yi. You expect Hou-Yi to try and dominate around this sort of time, but if he's losing the lane because he's been picked off already, it causes some problems.
Hou-Yi definitely has probably a little bit of a more favorable matchup, considering that he has the Ricochet and the Mark of the Crow to stun out members with the dashes, and Ram is
Sop's a little bit out of position, trying to flank around the back, and instead he's in an awkward position. Has to leap away back to his team. Mirage in the sky. Zap looking to clean up the kill onto Zap. Sops at the same time. Mirage comes in, doesn't hit the wall either. Cataclysm doesn't hit. It's a fiesta of missed abilities.
But it's a lucky fiesta for Mirage, but hold that thought, it might not be too lucky as Eager wants to give him the chase.
Gonna get away again. Mirage now under pressure, jumps to the hammer, but still gets hit by the knocker by Sam. The burst from Best is good, but not good enough for a kill. Shadow Q in the front lines was trying to buy as much time as he can, but the big D is here, and the boulder comes through to secure Best. Another kill for Eager, and now the Gold Fury is a threat.
2 members forced into backing, and Shadow Q completely annihilated. There's just, I don't see a whole lot of contests coming through for this Gold Fury.
Too early.
Way too early from Shaker.
And now he's probably dead for that play as well. He's not even going to escape. If you're going to fire the snipe that early, in my opinion, you might as well not even bother. Like, that was clear as day. I'm not trying to fire shots at Shaker there, but it's clear as day. He wasn't going to get a kill. He wasn't going to kill the Gold Fury. And by doing that, he got himself killed.
The only possibility I could think of there is that he was trying to force them to reset the Gold Fury, but a team as experienced as Eager, they're just going to backstep that one and just start pulling it back up again. If anything, it helps them clear it a little bit faster. So kind of a risky situation to try and take that pathing, but with
it happens.
Two members dying, it's just one of those things. You can kind of just space out sometimes. Just an unfortunate time to space out in.
Well, now it's 5-0 to Eager, and you can see the items coming through, thanks to the Gold Fury going down to Eager's favor too. Hydra's Lament available for Sanford's Soccer now, so a bit more damage output there, and a Doom Orb on Best in the mid lane. As well as you can see, Zapman's working nicely on those stacks of Devour's Gauntlets, and a Raw has Thebes online. So basically everyone pretty much completed an item based off that fight.
A lot of greed on the side of Eager as well. Best of the Doom Orb and Zapman with Devos, that's not very common. I mean, sure,
why is Devos greedy?
Devos is greedy because you don't really get a power spike from it, and it's fairly expensive in comparison to the standard boots into Ickful into Executioner build that we've become accustomed to seeing. And that's because Devos, you need those 75 stacks for to really be worthwhile. Plus, when you don't have that additional attack speed like a Hunter is usually going to get from having boots Ickful into Exe, you find the worst end of the 1v1 boxing matches. So Zap's probably looking to play this lane a little bit more passive and not really aggress unless Sops finds himself out of position.
And the funny thing about Devos, though, is did Devos kind of fall out of favor here, Taco, because Sustain kind of fell out of favor too? I feel like maybe he's picked it up because he knows he's against Aurora, he's against Fafnir, so these fights could be a little bit longer in terms of the sustain power coming out from the enemy squad, so he wants to be able to sustain himself, or is it just his personal build?
It's probably just favor as far as personal opinion is concerned. In this circumstance, he felt as though Devos was the right solution here and that he wanted to sustain for himself, which means he probably felt confident that he would be able to safely farm in his dual lane, and I think that he was correct in that assumption.
So I think right now, Flashpoint just need to continue to farm up. They recognize that Eager obviously completed those items ahead of them right now. It's not the right opportunity for them to really try and go aggressive, knowing that they're just slightly behind on finishing their first real item. So sit back, farm a little bit. Eager can't really find much more else as long as they keep the pole demon warded.
And all Eager are really trying to do is just roam as this 4-man squad, securing the oracles pretty easily, and it's going to be incredibly difficult for Flashpoint to try and have any sort of contest.
Nice little play from Devios to catch the Mink form there from Walrus, but Walrus will box it out, and you can see the player damage between the two relatively close. Obviously, Devios a little bit further ahead, landing a couple more abilities, but now support and jungler turn up from respective teams. Bit of poke from Mirage onto Devios, but Devios doesn't care. He's going to driving strike 2 in, and Devios didn't want to commit under the tower there, even though he had a Roar come in. Shadow Q now on his way as well.
But Shadow Q, I don't think really has much burst. He's got the Sunder available, but I don't think that this is the time to try and use it. Devios has the backup of Aurora, and that Gib Shield is more than enough to try and deter any sort of follow-up fight.
Surprised by all the pressure on this right-hand side. I mean, in one way, but with the Gold Fury being down, there's no reason for the supports to have to be near the duo lane.
No, Aurora is free to roam to wherever he pleases right now, especially since it was Eager who secured that Gold Fury. If anything, Eager are probably just looking to try and catch Flashpoint sleeping to aggress onto that Portal Demon.
If Devios can find some of those Earthbreakers, it could cause some problems for them. Devios going to go straight in the jungle, doesn't care about Shadow Q, he's going to check if the blue's up and ward near the speed, so a bit more vision for them. Mirage has been spotted, and meanwhile Walrus getting aggressed on, as is Devios. Both solo lanes in a bit of trouble here, but one of them's dead, and that's Walrus. Mirage takes to the sky. The snipe from Shaker was good on Devios to knock down the healing that he just got, but Mirage does not want to try and follow up, knowing that 4 members are Eager around. Instead, he wants to blue, and he wants to get out of dodge if he can.
I don't think he's going to be able to get out here. Best is already giving chase. So much poke damage down onto Mirage, and Sanford Soccer will clean that one up. And they're able to get away, but...
So they get the blue due to Flashpoint, but they lose another life and the speed buff as well. Eager are not messing around today, Taco.
The way that they are just grouping and sieging, that is exactly what you want to see from Eager's composition against the sustain comp, because they're not permitting Flashpoint to just go even.
Sops is losing this trade against that man pretty bad, and I know he's really looking for that Ricochet combo. That's what all the Hoagies want to do, is do the highlight reel Ricochet. But you know who's got the highlights today? Zapman!
Oof.
No,
Best.
Damn it, I tried to, listen, it's his game before he takes a break, and I'm like, I'll give Zapman this perfect, like, last game window to show how cool he was. No, Zap, you suck. No wonder you're taking a break.
Stole the words out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Gotta love Best coming in.
Shout out to the Best, though.
Shout out to the Best with the follow-up, so... Sops almost got away there, but I mean, it still is really bad for Sops. I mean, that sucks. He burned his Aegis, and now he just has to worry about that.
Sops' decision-making there for me was kind of that thing of like, I am playing Ho Yi. If I rotate back to the lane and stay in the jungle, if he does come through here, I can hit a triple shot and potentially turn this fight around. But by doing that, you get baited by playing Ho Yi into these ricochet positions instead of playing safe.
Well, the other issue with that as well is that Sops kind of just ate like 5 autos to the face without trying to return any damage. He has Ickful, he has Executioner. He could have looked for at least some kind of return fire, but I think he did get a little bit greedy. I'm not certain if his Ricochet was already on cooldown and he was trying to wait it out.
Maybe Sops also knows that this is Zapman's break set, right?
Trying to make him look good.
So he's trying to make him look good because Zapman deserves to look good. Maybe. I don't think that's really the case, but Sops may tweet out later today saying, yes, that's exactly what I was looking for, and then everybody at home will know it's the truth.
Well, now Sops is in a really bad position because...
Oh, here we go, the roll in from Zapman. Sops going to hide inside his own ultimate there, but the bad news is Aurora's rolling around the corner. They don't see him yet, but they might be hating. Sops still trying to get back to his tower. Zap should have a rollout soon, but Sops will get away just about.
They'll be just fine, but what I was saying is that he's in a really bad position because Zapman has finished Executioner himself. He already has the attack speed steroid with the 2 on Rom. Combine that with the Astral Arrows and the fact that his Devils is now fully stacked. He has more than enough damage now to shred Sops, so it makes the full Exe rush kind of like just not matter.
The problem I can see right now for Flashpoint is solo lane's really in trouble here. Walrus can't really do much after the lead, even though Devious is even with him. He can't really bully out this lane, and at the same time, we also see Sops is losing the lane against Zapman now, but we don't see Mirage trying to help out either of these lanes, really. I've not seen any attention paid to the dual lane just yet.
Mirage is kind of just too far behind to really have any impact right now. He's up in the air, but Eager have already spotted it out. They're not even going to stay on the Gold Fury. They don't have to bait him into that area. They can just leash it and then look to aggress on it. Again, no
I'm
problem.
not 100% certain how many ults Eager know are down on Flashpoint's side, because you can see 3 members do not have their ultimate available just yet. Only ShadowQ and Shaker have theirs up. But Shaker's is one of those telling ones that can make a big impact with the Raw Snipe.
They have to fight because Divios is staying on that solo lane side, and it's looking like they want the aggression. Sanford Soccer, the ultimates come out. Aurora's trying to go in, but ShadowQ just popped his ultimate. I think he got baited.
Yeah, he did, and this worked out well for Eager, because meanwhile, Devious on the right-hand side is going to be able to take away the speed buff, deny that from Flashpoint too, and there's nothing really wasted on the side of Eager yet. Flashpoint are trying to commit to the Gold Fury though, or rather Aurora, who's been in place. The Cataclysm will buy him a moment, but Shaker still gets the kill. Gold Fury dropping down, but Devious around the back with a boulder, double taps it, but it's not enough. Gold Fury goes down. Shaker gets picked credit for the kill, but the bad news is, I think Sops may fall down here. Sanford Soccer picks up Shaker, and Sops running for his life.
Sops is trying to get away. Sanford Soccer not pursuing Sops. I think that that's a lucky break for Sops, that they traded out Shaker for Aurora and a Gold Fury. Probably the best break that Flashpoint's had this entire game so far. And
you actually do see the best did get the Doom Orb and then go straight for the Divine Ruin. So they do have some anti-heal online, about the stage we expected. But with the Gold Fury going down the way of Flashpoint, Eager want to make sure their losses aren't too bad there, so they take the Portal Demon, which gives them about the same amount as a Tier 1 tower.
If anything, I would say Portal Demon's probably a little bit scarier on the side of Eager, because Eager are already ahead with the XP lead, and now with that Portal Demon available, they can aggress, and sure, they don't have the sustain composition that Flashpoint's running, but when you're able to back to base for free and still come back into a team fight no problem, that's probably even scarier than dealing with a Raw.
So small bits of good news there for Flashpoint, getting the Gold Fury, getting the first kill in this set as well, does help them out. But Eager's still definitely in control. The 4,000 gold lead isn't that much. It's something 18 minutes, but the experience is definitely more telling. Look at the junglers here right now, Taco. Level 14 to level 17.
And Sanford Soccer just looking very comfortable on this Susano. He's building pure damage as well. And with a 30% CDR from the Hydras and the Jones, it's going to be incredibly difficult to lock him down.
And the thing about the pure damage, it's based off the composition, I feel. Because he knows he's got Geb in his back pocket in case he needs those shields to get him out of danger, he can go for more of a full damage penetration build over going for a little bit more defense and survivability.
And it's great because Susano is an excellent god for locking down almost anybody, but I was going to say Ra in particular. It's going to be incredibly difficult for Shaker if he gets caught out at any point for him to escape from the mobility of a Susano.
Devio's going to catch Walrus one more time. Only a level difference between the two. Walrus has done his job pretty well of like surviving in this lane. Even though he has dropped down twice, it was by multiple ganks from multiple members of the team. But definitely behind is a squad right now. As you can see, the engagement roaring mid, the Cataclysm does well. ShadowQ takes into his ultimate form, but Mirage is forced to Aegis and take to the sky to avoid the knockup. Best just didn't have the damage to bring him down at the end, but he's got to go back in, and Best goes, you what, mate? Slap to the noggin. Mirage is out of here. Walrus comes around the corner, though, looking to trap Best, but good news is there that Devious was there to support Best, still trying to buy time. Big old shield from Aurora will get the Best out of danger for now, and Eager come out with a one-man advantage after the team fight.
Fun with Geb, and that's just what Geb does best.
Press shield.
It's just 3. He just needs to press 3 and 4 on occasion.
I don't know what Mirage was thinking, though. That was a little bit risque to try and jump in. He was
expecting Walrus to get there a little bit sooner and have the taunt available to maybe... Well, I mean, Best had feeds regardless, so it was definitely still a questionable decision, but I think that he was just kind of hoping that Walrus would be there to help assist him in picking off best instead of getting locked down. And Sops might be getting caught up in a trade that he doesn't want to be in.
Especially against crit and sustain that's coming out. Here come the snipes. Sops is going to juke well. That one I could have gone high on because that man actually landed it. But beautiful 3 in a row. No mistakes, no hesitation either. Did you notice that during the snipe? It was bang, bang, bang. He predicted the movement perfectly and Sops fell for the bait.
And Sops kind of just went in a straight line.
Exactly.
And
but sometimes going in, like the juke.
The best juke is no juke.
You reckon?
The best juke is no juke.
Okay.
Yeah, and you have no idea how many times I've seen pro players just miss entirely because people just stop moving.
So you do play against Taco in your ranked games and you want free elo. It's free elo anyway because she plays with Maddie. But on top of that, what you could also do is just hit her in a straight line and you're guaranteed to hit her. That's what Taco just confirmed.
It's not that I'm laughing about.
Are you sure?
Oh god, Maddie's so heavy.
Tier 1 goes down in the mid lane and still the pressure on from Eager. Zapman just happy to just keep wailing away with the autos now at level 19 with the rage on one stack.
They're not going to shut down Zapman on this run, and as a hyper carry, the fact that he was able to get away with the greedy build of Devos without much punishment. I would have liked to see Mirage try and place a lot more ganks into that dual lane because you are just so susceptible to getting ganked when you rush a stacking item such as Devos, because it's not the same as Transcendence. Like the thing about Transcendence is, yes, that item is more expensive, but you get the mana out of it as well as the massive power spike initially. Like as soon as you buy the item, you get a power spike from it.
It's a power trade-off with Devos, isn't it? It's like you get less power, but you get more survivability and sustain.
Exactly.
And that works out sometimes, like you can see there.
And if you make it to this stage right here, you are just free farming everybody, especially on a ROM. He's one of the best hunters to utilize Devourer's Gauntlets on. And so I really just don't see Sops having any sort of boxing potential left with Zapman because no matter what, Zap's going to be healing.
Gold Fury has just respawned now, and Eager not in a position to do it just yet. The ward coverage is in their favor around the Gold Fury pit right now, with them having a sentry ward down there. But Flashpoint have a small idea. This could be a potential threat if they've got a ward themselves. What's his fire giant call? Is that a fire giant call on the right-hand side?
They're
what
trying.
Flashpoint doing?
There's no way. Divios is here, and they can't afford to commit.
They're trying to full commit and steal this one away from Eager under their noses. Fire Giant's low. Fire Giant goes the way of Flashpoint, but Sops is going to get the kill and look to run away. Shadow Q is in a lot of trouble here. Pulled back in by Sam Fasaka. The Dragon Form is on, and now Zapman turns up and gets one. Mirage takes 3 shots, 4 shots, and then jumps away. But Zapman's not done yet. He wants to kill a Mirage. He's waiting for the last shot and will find it. Next up, Sam goes in looking for Sops, and yeah, they got the Fire Giant, but they're going to lose potentially more.
They're definitely going to lose this T2 tower. I wouldn't be surprised to see Eager even try and pressure out the Phoenix, or at least the T2 in mid as well. And that trade-off, I can't say that it was a poor decision, but I think I actually prefer that call by Flashpoint, because at least by them securing the Fire Giant, it prevents Eager from having that buff.
Agreed, and it's going to buy them a small window, if anything. They have a little bit more sustain on 3 characters, and in the best news possible, Shaker and Sop still have it, and Walrus too, who is one of your frontliners. So Flashpoint, they can slow down Eager a little bit, I guess, for the time being.
I expected Flashpoint to lose 3, if not 4 members after they secured that, so the fact that 3 of them were actually able to escape, I think that was well disengaged by them.
If you are on a losing team and you manage to keep 3 members alive with the Fire Giant after stripping it away, that works out well. But Devios, he doesn't care about 4 members up against him. The Gold Fury are going to go down to Zap thanks to Devourer's Gauntlets, and Flashpoint just a little bit too late. I'm not sure if they really want to fight this one though, with how far forward Shadow Q is right now. It's a little bit risky.
Kind of unfortunate. Eager already secured that Gold Fury, and that is really what Flashpoint was looking for, because they just need any sort of gold right now to try and close that gap. It's not so much the gold gap that's really the concern, it's just they need builds. And Eager, everybody on this alongside Eager, as far as the carries are concerned, are pretty much full build right now. They're coming close to it, and that's the issue that Flashpoint is running into right now, is that not only are they behind like pretty severely in as far as experience is concerned, but when you're also down like 1-2 items to literally every single member of Eager, that gets really rough to fight into.
So it's just a patience game now coming out from Eager, if anything. If they can find a pick, that'll be great, and pick up a tab even better, but Sub's already forced to leap away. Oh, that Earthbreaker was so close, but not close enough for the pickup. The fight engaging on, there's still some pressure coming out. Eager being forced back for a second with Mirage diving in too, but the health bars are so good.
And Sanford with the 4-man ultimate onto everybody at Flashpoint. Zapman's already taken to the sky. Divios cleans
Zap.
up. Oof.
That was beautiful as Sup lands down there. Zap's like, no, my friend, that's mine. Tier 2 tower in the mid lane, now being sieged down by Eager. 2 members once again dead on the side of Flashpoint. The remaining 3 members are going to have to stand at the Phoenix as the onslaught is on its way.
And this is so well played by Eager because they're not slowing down the gas pedal. They are just completely diving headfirst into Flashpoint, and Shake is dead. Walrus is dead. There's literally only Shadowq left alone. This solo Fafnir, I don't see how he's going to be able to defend the Phoenix or even the Titan.
I think the one thing Flashpoint can look back at in game 1 is the fact the Fire Giant call, I think, was the right call.
The
Fire Giant call, it was a risky call, but you've got to try and get back into the game somehow. If they get the Fire Giant and manage to maybe survive a little bit longer, maybe one more man stays alive, they could have potentially got themselves a small win.